It's Deaf Awareness Week here in the UK, and I thought I'd make some short videos to try and highlight the topic a little bit more, try and spread a bit of awareness and hopefully help some of you to understand just how complex this disability actually is. So today I just want to briefly discuss the difference between deaf and deafened, because they're two very, very different things. Now the word deaf usually will make you think of sign language, deaf culture, sort of deaf communities, possibly speech impairment. Now obviously there's a whole bunch of people who identify as deaf, usually with a capital D in this case. Most people who say they're deaf with a capital D are people who've been deaf since birth or from a very young age. 9 times out of 10 they will have sign language as their first language rather than speech. But what happens when you lose your hearing and you don't identify as deaf with a capital D? What happens when you don't fit into that deaf culture? You don't know any sign language? That's basically what happened to me. That's what I am. So I think I confuse, when I say that I'm deaf, I think it confuses a lot of people. The first question I get is, do you know sign language? And I don't know any. I know very, very basic signs, very minimal sign language. So yeah, I think I confuse people when I say that I'm deaf. Basically, I grew up in the hearing world. When I was 17, I started to lose my hearing, and over the next 4 years, I pretty much lost all of my hearing until I had my cochlear implant operations. But I mean, on paper, I am profoundly deaf, and I still am profoundly deaf. On paper, when I take these off, I can't hear a thing. A foghorn could sound right next to me and I wouldn't hear it. I might feel it, I wouldn't hear it though. That's how deaf I am. Yet, my situation is so different to someone who's been deaf since birth or from a very young age. I don't know what it's like to not know sound. I don't know what it's like to have never heard speech. I don't know what it's like to not know that all these sounds are happening all around me all the time. I've got no idea what that is like. I only know how frustrating it is to miss it. So yeah, becoming deafened, oh God, becoming deafened literally turns your world upside down. You lose your main method of communication. You lose your confidence, you lose your identity, you lose your independence. You very quickly start to realise all the little things that you took for granted, things like using the telephone, watching TV, listening to music, going out and socialising with your mates. Things like alarm bells, fire alarms, tannoy announcements on the train, traffic, the list just goes on, and there's so many things that you take for granted. So yeah, I think a lot of people who lose their hearing later on, who are deafened, I think you can find yourself in a very lonely place, a very sort of in-between place where you don't fit into the hearing world anymore, but you also don't fit into that deaf culture, because you can't hear and you can't sign, so it's like you're kind of stuck in limbo. And I know, it happened to me 20 years ago, so things might have changed now, but I know that when it happened to me, there just wasn't enough support there for for my situation. There was support for people who were deaf before the age of 16, there was support for adults, like older people, the older generation. There was nothing there for people in between. And it was a very, very lonely place to be. Very lonely and very scary to not have that support. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out to you because I think it's something that's very misunderstood. The deafened thing is very misunderstood, and it comes on so many different levels as well, because obviously everyone's situation is different. Everyone will have different levels of hearing loss and it will affect them in different ways. So yeah, for my next video, I think I'm actually going to talk about those different levels of deafness, the different degrees of deafness, and what you guys can do to try and help and try and be supportive. So yeah, I hope that's helped some of you to just understand just a little bit more. about the disability. Please do leave me any feedback or comments. I'm always happy to answer questions. And yeah, I look forward to showing you my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.